Here we have five methods, five very simple methods, which expecting three values, as we declared three variables here, means that this method expect to receive three values, and the method is returning a int value. The method is very simple. It sums a plus b plus c, a plus b, and returns a plus b and plus c. Very simple method. And all of these methods are the same. Sum three numbers together 1, sum three numbers together 2, 3, 4, and 5th. So these five are very simple methods. But the first method is expecting three variables, and these three variables are regular without a default value. The next method, sum three numbers together 2, is also expecting three values, as we declare here int a, int b, and int c. But as we see here, all of these three variables have a default value. Int a equals 1, in case if the invoker will not set the value, then a will be equal to 1. Int b equals 2, again, if the invoker will not send a value for b, then b will be equal to 2. Int c equals 3, if the invoker will not send a value for variable c, then c will be equal to 3. And here we have another method, sum three numbers together, which only the last two variables are with default parameter, b equals 2, c equals 3, but a is just a regular without a default parameter. And the next method, sum three numbers together 4, only the last one is with default parameter. All of these four methods are okay, and soon we'll see how we can invoke them, the ways that we can invoke them. But this, the fifth method, this method is not okay. The rule is that a variable with a default value must be the last one. The rule means say that after a variable with a default value, we cannot have another variable without the default value. It must be the last. So here, the last one is with default value. The first also, but we don't have a problem because after the first there is another variable which is also with default value, and after the second we have another variable which also with the default value. So we don't have a problem. The problem is if we have a variable with a default value and after just a regular variable without a default value. This is this is wrong. This will not work. This will cause an error. Now let's see how we are going to invoke these four methods. Let's go up inside method main. Here we declare the variable called sum, and this is the method. This is the signature method. Signature method means the name of the method and the variable that the method expects. So this is the signature of the method, and all of them are just regular variables, so we must send a value for these variables that the method expects. The next method is sum three numbers together 2. the first, second, and the third variables that the method expects are with default value. Means that we can invoke this method and we can even not send anything in because all of them have a default value. Or we can, if we want, anyway, we can send the values for these three. Or we can send a value only for the first and the second and not to the third. Or we can send only for the first and not to the second and the third. But to send to the last and not to the second or to the first, that we cannot do. The first parameter that we will send will go into the first variable. The second will go into the second. And if we are not sending anything else, then the third variable will take its value from the default value. Here, the number 3 methods. The first variable is just regular. The second and the third are with default value. So the first is irregular, so we must send in a value for the first variable. So in this case, we send a value for the first variable, but we did not send for these two, the second and the third. And it's okay because they have a default value. We can send only for the first, of course. We have to master. And we can send also for the second one. And this is here. 65 for the first, that we must, and 54 for the second. And the third will take its value from the default. Or, of course, we can send to the first, second, and third also. The fourth method, the first and the second without a default value. Only the third have a default value. It means that we must send two values for the first and for the second because they don't have a default value. But for the third, we don't have to send. So here, we did not send a value to the third. But if we want, we can, of course, send also to the third.